all the time. And certain animals like the coelacanth, which was also said to be extinct hundreds of millions of years ago. We've now at least 5 or 6 species have been captured off the Straits of Madagascar. Other species, as the tuatara and giant crocodiles and other huge lizards and tortoises, all are from this same era of time, and they've come down to us today. So therefore, the idea of seeing dinosaurs in different places in the world, well, people are. Now, a lot of the people who see these things aren't carrying a Nikon camera with them everywhere they go. And clearly, dinosaurs are not living in, the farms and fields of mid-America, say. They're living in remote areas of the world, typically jungle swamps that are nearly impenetrable. A good example of this would be the Lake Tele region of the Congo, where a brontosaurus animal, known to the natives as the Makili Mbembe, is said to live in this swampy lake area. And a number of zoologists have gone to this remote area. There are photos taken of the Makili Mbembe on the lake. And the natives, too, have very rich traditions of what this animal is. Walt Disney, in fact, even did a fictionalized movie based on these expeditions called Baby, which was all about the capturing of a live brontosaurus in the swamps and jungles of Central Africa. There are reports from all over the world of pterodactyls, of some kind of giant flying lizards flying. A particularly intriguing series of reports on pterodactyls comes from the southwest African nation of Namibia. In Namibia, there have been various reports of pterodactyls flying in the remote desert regions there, including a story of a pterodactyl attacking a young shepherd boy who was tending the flock in an area near the Kalahari Desert. This reported sighting of a pterodactyl was also investigated by the famous South African zoologist Courtney Latimer, who is famous in the coelacanth case of first identifying the coelacanth. She herself believed that indeed pterodactyls were alive in this remote corner of Africa. If you go into the remote deserts of Namibia, you will encounter people who claim sightings of pterodactyls and have seen them. And in fact, in certain areas of Namibia, there is a terrific fear at dusk of the natives of these giant flying lizards which eat sheep and attack people. There are many fascinating reports from around the world of living pterodactyls. One of the reports, and a series of them, comes from some credible sources, which I trust, that pterodactyls have been sighted in certain areas of the Namib Desert of Namibia in southwest Africa. These people cite native legends and actual witness reports and film footage even of pterodactyls flying in a remote rocky desert area where there are these outcrops of cliffs and rocks where pterodactyls can live. This is an extremely remote area of a remote country, a place where really no one lives, and a few natives in rare little spots, and you have a few German sheep farmers on vast desert tracts. And they themselves tell stories of pterodactyls and know where they live. We find this in many areas of Africa, particularly remote mountain and desert areas where there are cliffs, areas where pterodactyls could live and survive. And though it sounds incredible, the evidence for this is growing and growing, and until soon it will be either proven one way or another. In the 1930s, also in Africa, in the swamps of northern Zambia, a British game warden wrote a book called In Which Bound Africa. And one of the chapters in this book is about an animal, a flying pterodactyl-type lizard called the Kongamato. And the Kongamato was a pterodactyl that lived in these swamps, the Oundi swamps of northern Zambia. And curiously, anyway, this is a chapter in his book from 1934. There are many stories of pterodactyls also in North America and in South America, as well as in Indonesia and other areas like that. In the early 1970s, there was a pterodactyl flap, if you will, that took place around Brownsville, Texas, where a number of people, and we had here multiple sightings, including school teachers and policemen, of what they described as giant flying lizards, pterodactyls, flying in the daytime even, which is unusual for pterodactyls because they tend to be apparently a nocturnal type of animal. And these pterodactyls flying along the Rio Grande. Apparently, if these are authentic sightings, these pterodactyls are coming from the Sierra Madre and Sierra Oriental mountain ranges of northern Mexico. There's a famous story of a photograph in Arizona of a pterodactyl shot in the late 1800s that was nailed to the side of a barn. A number of cryptozoologists have claimed they have seen this photo, including Ivan T. Sanderson and the columnist John Keel for Fate magazine. However, we cannot locate this photo now, and we can't really be sure that it really ever existed. There's another curious story that actually takes place in Illinois, near to St. Louis, of a cliff over the river Mississippi, which the Indians, the Illini Indians in that area, according to legend, said a giant bird, like a pterodactyl, lived in this cliff, and this giant flying lizard actually was eating people. So one day, according to the legend, the bravest brave of the tribe got his friends together, and he went to where this pterodactyl lived on the cliffs, and he used himself as bait to try and kill this monster. And when the pterodactyl attacked him, his friends who were in hiding jumped up, and they riddled this pterodactyl with arrows and killed the monster, which the Indians today call the piazza. And even today, on this cliff in southern Illinois, is a giant painted mural of this giant killer bird, which the Indians had killed earlier. Even today, this can be seen. So we can see that there's really quite a bit of evidence to show that dinosaurs are still alive today, that man has interacted with these amazing creatures, even in recent history. And if we continue to search for these animals, we may one day actually prove that dinosaurs are still alive. Dr. Cabrera's ecostones are a very interesting subject, I think, and there's something to that, I believe. I think that his stones may well be authentic, and as you know, they show apparently humans and dinosaurs interacting together. At first glance, it seems impossible, and therefore this has led to accusations that it's an elaborate hoax. But I believe that the Dr. Cabrera collection could be authentic. However, I think that some of the conclusions that Dr. Cabrera draws may be erroneous. Now, on first glance, looking at stones that would have dinosaurs and humans on them interacting, by normal geological dating, these stones, if authentic, would have to be 65 million years old. Now, I believe this is what Dr. Cabrera is in the opinion of, too. He thinks that he's got stones, and because they show dinosaurs on them, these stones are 65 million years old. Yet, it's not necessarily the case. It can actually be that the geological dating that we're using today to date strata into the common periods of time, Jurassic, Permian, all the different eras and epochs, may be completely wrong. Furthermore, we have to look into the whole concept of fossils and fossilization itself and extinction. What is it that creates a fossil? Are fossils normal events, or are fossils indicative of some anomaly, a catastrophe, as you will? I would say, and many scientists will agree with me, a fossil is an anonymous artifact. It is the result of some cataclysm, some catastrophe. Wherever there are fossils and fossilized animals and plants, we have evidence of some cataclysm, of a tidal wave, of a volcanic eruption and destruction. My point is that when animals die in a natural setting, they do not become fossils. A good example of this would be in the early 1800s, Buffalo Bill and his buddies went out into the Great Plains of America and slaughtered hundreds of thousands of buffalo, cut their tongues out and left